terrible abuse that he was subjected to. And the injuries that he incurred, he shot in his leg, he fractured a bone. Something else with his arm, his shoulder. Because he was in pain and suffering, he needed medical help. So they took him to receive medical attention. And as a result, he was treated more gently than others. And he realized that he wasn't in control of anything. They starved him, didn't have food. But because of his injuries, they didn't chain him up like they did to others, which was a very painful punishment. And he says he realized he wasn't in control of his life at all. And he tried to find areas where he could be in charge, where he could decide, I'm going to eat this. If they brought him food, he could decide if he's going to eat this or he's going to eat that. He was going to eat this now or he's going to eat it later. He tried to develop areas where he could exercise free choice. It's very interesting, because what distinguishes us from any other creatures in the world is the element of choice. We have free choice. It's never taken away from us, and it's a gift from God. It's a godly thing. What does a God choose? God chose the Jewish people to be his people, to give us the Torah. And so since he couldn't control anything in his life, and sometimes things worked out well for him, better than they might have done, so he began to wonder, why is this happening? Why have I benefited here? Why did a negative thing turn into a positive thing? And that led his mind down a different tunnel to discover that there's a bigger force moving things, controlling things. And came out from. He'll have to discover how you lead a frum life, but he's on his way. He gave an interview in the Kfar Chabad magazine. He translated it and put it up on the Chabad side here. Okay, Tehillim, chapter 20, Lam Natseyach. Mizmor LeDavid, Yan Chan Labim Torah, Yisakev Hashem Elohei Yankev, Yishon Ezoham Mikodesh, Uvitzeyen Yisadeka, Yizkar Kol Mechosecha V'Elasana, Elasacha Yidash Nasela, Yiten Achachel Vavecha, Chol Atzasacha Yamale, Meranan Abishavasecha V'Shem Eloheinu Nidgel, Yamale Adonai Kol Mishalisecha, Ata Yodaiti, Ki Yeshia Adonai Mashiach Yanehu Mishmei Kodsher Yigvores Yeshirmine Ele Rechav Ele Zuzu V'Anaklu V'Shem Adonai Eloheinu Nazkir Hema Kardo V'Nafalo V'Anaklu Kamen V'Niseidad Adonai Yeshia Melech Anenu V'Yem Karenu. Of course, it should be self-understood. If you're not fluent in Hebrew, to read the Hebrew, you can read the English. Hashem speaks English. So far as I know, he learned in Holy Torah how to speak English. He's fluent in English and many, many other languages. Chapter 13. Okay, so we learned that Hashem is always at the right hand of a person. He helps the person to overcome the bad influences of the Yetzer Hara, which is always telling him, urging him to do negative things, like the primordial snake. But the ultimate decision is not in the hands of the of the Yetzer Hara. The ultimate decision is in the hands of the arbitrator who sides with the Yetzer Tov. You know, there's a saying, a righteous person decrees, and Hashem agrees. So that when what does it mean? When a person has a problem, and whether he's aware of his problem or he's not aware of his problem, he goes to the tzaddik, and the tzaddik gives him a blessing, and then everything works out in the most extraordinary way. So who made this happen? Did the tzaddik make it happen? The person experiencing this would say, well, that was a miracle. Who made it happen? Hashem made it happen. But the tzaddik gave a blessing. Did he have divine inspiration? Did he see the future? What's going on? Give you an example. It's a very interesting story that's told in the book of essays of encounters with the Rebbe about a person who was an artist. He was teaching art here in America, and he felt a need to change his lifestyle, change his career. He decided he's going to move to Israel, and he's going to live in a new area, not in a developed city, but in a new area. But before doing so, he decided he'll ask the Rebbe what he thinks about the idea. So he came to the Rebbe. The Rebbe suggested he should go to I forget if it was Netivot in the south, where Baba Sali set up eventually, or to some other place. The Rebbe suggested that's what where he should go. And he said he should open a university. I said, Rebbe, how can I open a university? I don't have the money, I don't have the place, I don't have the knowledge. Rebbe said, you could take an example from Gainesville, Florida. Is that the name of the place? There's a university in Florida. It's a hick town. Gainesville, there's a nothing town. They decided to open a university there. The university brought business to the area. Stores opened, and the place became more affluent. And there were lots of people, customers, and so on. Well, how's he going to pull off a thing like that? So he came to Israel, and he went with his wife they found a place to stay temporarily, and they went to look around, see what they have in that settlement, in this village, town. And they see an empty building, big empty building. They say, that could be a good place for a school. You could have classes in there. And as they're standing there, a bus pulls up with tourists, Canadians from Montreal. And they introduce themselves. Oh, you speak English? Good, wonderful. We're from Montreal. This is our sister city. They have a program from Israel that certain American cities adopt a city in Israel and become involved with them. So this is our sister city. We came to take a look. What are you doing here? He said, well, I'm just looking at this building. It was designed and built for children who are severely handicapped. But there aren't any severely handicapped children in this village, this town. So it's empty. So I was thinking of opening up an educational institution. If I get permission, he goes to so he went to this, and I should have said this earlier, I guess. He went to the city authority. They said, yeah, sure, we'll give you the place for nothing. Be happy to have somebody use it. So now he's got a place. But needs financing. So the bus comes along with these people from Montreal, and they said, oh, wonderful. We'll support your institution. So now he's got money. what does he need? He needs accreditation. He has a friend who's a son of the founder of the Bar Ilan University. Where's that? In Beersheba? Maybe it's around Tel Aviv. I think. Anyway, they said, we want to open up in the south. We want, like it should be Ufaratzta, that we should have an institution, Bar Ilan, in the north and the south and the east and the west. This will be our south. So within a day, he has a building, he has finance, he has accreditation. Who made it happen? Did the Rebbe make it happen? The Rebbe suggested he should go there and he should open a university. Did the Rebbe make it happen? Did not make it happen. Hashem made it happen. So how are we going to understand this? So I thought of a mashal, an example. Y'all know what are marionettes. You know what's a marionette? No. It's a puppet. There are two kinds of puppets. One kind of puppet you have on your fingers, finger puppets. You know, you hide, and you come up, and the puppets act out their drama. The other kind of marionette is from above, where the puppeteers are behind a screen, and they have strings attached to these puppets. You know, howdy-doody, like this. They wave their hands like that. They dance up and down, and they their arms wave. So the marionetteer is up on there, and he's executing the puppets, and they're doing their thing. So that's what life is like. And Hashem is the puppeteer. He takes us where we have to go. He makes us do what we have to do. But who writes the story? The tzaddik writes the story, and he's the playwright. And he gives suggestions to the puppeteer, and the puppeteer agrees. So it's a collaboration. The tzaddik, so it says in the Talmud, tzaddik decrees what should happen, and Hashem fulfills. Think it over. Page 195, that's where we're up to. Since the Yetzer Hara in the left side of the heart, Shebahol Hasmali, B'Beinani, who B'Tokfoi, it's as strong and powerful as was on day one, even more so. Ketol, that means to say in it, as it was created, it's as strong as it was when it was first created. Lis Avais, Taivas, Taiva, Lokol, Tainugi, Oilam Hazeh, to cause the person to have desires for the pleasures of this physical world. It did not become lessened, it did not become small, it was not starved out at all. Lagabe Hatayv, compared to the power of the Yetzer Tayv. And as we said before also, it was not pushed out of its place in the left side of the heart. Bottom of page 195. Rak she'en le shlita. It doesn't, but it has no rulership, no sovereignty, umemshala, or governance, lehispashet be'evri haguf, to spread out through the limbs of a person's existence, of his body. Why? Because, page 196, because Hashem is standing there on the right of the poor person who is struggling against the Yetzer Hara, and he's there and he helps out the poor person. But Oizer, how does he help him out? He shines a holiness, a holy light from the essential light. HaKadosh Baruch Hu shines a ray of light, focuses it on the mind and the heart of the poor person, of the Nefesh Elokis of the poor person. And that gives him the strength to stand up for his beliefs and principles. Lochein nikra rasha. Therefore, the Beinoni is not called a wicked person because he never does anything wicked, but he has the trials and tribulations of a rasha. And that's why the Rebbe is being precise about what it says in the Medrash, in the first page of the Tanya. Even if the whole world tells you that you are righteous, in your own eyes, you should be like a wicked person, but not a wicked person. Heaven forbid. Got it? You knew from before? You had that figured out from before? Chama Esther, did you have that figured out from before? Yes.
What exactly?
What?
What exactly? That I'm not wicked?
That the Beinoni is like a wicked person because he has all the same challenges of a wicked person, as a wicked person, but he never becomes a wicked person. He has tremendous powers of self-restraint. And a person who doesn't have these powers of self-restraint, what is he or she? They are wicked. They're not criminals, heaven forbid. But you never know what's the area of what's their area of their wickedness. A friend of mine, he's a chaplain in the prisons, and he's very witty. He's brought out 2 books about his experiences with criminals in jail. He says there's no difference between someone in jail and someone who's not in jail. Most people, just the ones in jail, got caught. Give you an example from Brazil. There's a well-known story. The president of the Jewish community, his wife accepted a package and took it with her on her visit to New York. And at customs, they examined her baggage, and they found that that package had in it jewels, maybe $50,000, $100,000 worth of jewels, precious stones. She was arrested for smuggling. She said, I didn't know. They said, well, you know, ma'am, you're not supposed to accept packages from strangers. Well, he wasn't a stranger. Anyway, she was put in jail, and she claimed innocence. Her husband went to the shaliach. He was president of the Jewish community. He went to the shliach. He had never been to the Rebbe. I don't think he'd been to the Rebbe. And he asked the shliach, please, to ask a blessing from the Rebbe. So the Rebbe just said that the husband, should go to Florida, go to Miami Beach. He needs a blessing for his wife. Go to Miami Beach. He goes to Miami Beach. He checks into a hotel, Shomer Shabbos Hotel, there around 41st Street. If any of you have been to Miami Beach, you know where it is. Near some of the original fancy hotels. And they have a minyan for Shachris. He goes to the minyan, and he's sitting there afterwards. And a man comes and sits down at his table. And he says, you look kind of distressed. Is everything all right? He said, well, I'll tell you. And he tells him the whole situation and pleads innocent. Tells him the whole story. He says, well, turns out that man who sat down beside him was the judge in the case. I believe you, he said. I believe you. And he accepted her plea of innocence, and she was released. Did the Rebbe make it happen? A lot of stories like that, where the Rebbe says, go to some place, and they go, and they don't know what they're supposed to do there, who they're supposed to meet, what they're supposed to, and they meet just the right person. Or like the story of the social worker who was told, was asked by the community of Bubba in Borough Park to search for a runaway girl who was abused, had an abusive husband and had fled. And they think that she's somewhere in Australia, and they asked this young man who happened to work in Australia to maybe he could find her. And he said, Rabbi, do you know that Australia is about as big as America? I have nothing to go on. I don't know the girl. I have no clue where she might be. He said, well, you're a Lubavitcher. Why don't you ask a Lubavitcher Rebbe? Before you go back to Australia, ask a bracha from the Rebbe. So he did. Did the Rebbe give him a bracha? No. The Rebbe just said, which airlines are you taking back to Australia? And when are you leaving? I said, you're taking Pan Am. Pan Am used to be in business. And no, he took the Australian airlines. I forget what they're called. He said, so you'll be in Melbourne over Shabbos, and Sunday you'll go to that city in the north. What's it called? Sydney. You'll go to Sydney, and that's all the Rebbe said. Should be with Hatzlacha. So he goes to Melbourne. He spends Shabbos in Melbourne. Sunday he takes a plane to Sydney. He's sitting on the plane with no clue how he's going to help this community find the runaway maiden. And a lady, a nice looking lady in her late 40s or early 50s comes, and her seat is next to his seat. And they don't say anything to each other for a while. And then she starts a conversation with him. Turns out that her grandfather established the Greek Orthodox Church in Australia. And she says, I see that you're a religious person. He said, yes. So then she says, tell me, if someone leaves the fold in your religion, do you take them back? Or are they banished? He said, no, nobody's ever banished. A person can go astray. Of course, we take them back. If they choose to return to observing the laws of the religion, the commandments and the rituals. She said, well, you see, I have a chain of ladies' stores. I have 10 stores throughout the country. And I think that one of your American people is working for me in one of my stores. He starts shaking. Can't believe it. She says, are you all right? He says, yes, I'm fine. It's just that this is the most extraordinary thing. That we know that nothing is by accident. But here I'm on a mission to try and locate such a girl, and I have no clue how to do so. Now she starts shaking. But she sees that she's also part of this. She says, I'll do anything I can to help you. I'll get you a car. I'll get you a place to stay. I'll give you money. Be very happy to help this young lady. He says, you don't have to give me anything. Just tell me where I have to go. And he had to go in the north to, well, there's a city up there on the north coast of Australia. It's a place a lot of people love to go swimming there. Wonderful warm beaches. What's it called? It has a B, I forget the name. With that, and beyond that, there's another place, also a seaside resort called Cairns. Cairns. I remember that name. Maybe the other one will come back to me and pop into my head.
Bondi?
What?
Bondi Beach? Bondi Beach?
No. It doesn't matter. There's a shliach now in both of those places. And when this happened, there was no shliach in either of them. no religious community. Anyway, so he comes to the store, and there's the girl sitting in the back of the store. She sees him walk in. She jumps up and she says, "Did my father send you?" He says, "No, the Lubavitcher Rebbe sent me." Now, he told me this story himself, and we were both waiting for a bus to Montreal. He was going to Montreal. I was sending a package. The bus came. He got on the bus. I said, "But you got to tell me the end of the story. You can't just leave like that." He said, "She's now a respected member of the community, a mother of children in Melbourne." "Oh, what did she say to him?" He said, "No, the Lubavitcher Rebbe sent me." She said, "Well, if you can get me a get, then I'll talk to you. If not, I have nothing to do with you." So later I found out the rest of the details of the story was that he returned with her information. He returned to the Baba community, where he contacted them because he lived in Sydney. He contacted the Baba Rebbe. They arranged a get for the girl. She returned to America. She went to a university. She fried out. She left Yiddishkeit. She saw Yiddishkeit was not for her because she didn't receive any support from the, the leaders of the Jewish community. She wanted nothing to do with their religion. So she enrolled in some university. She should have a means of earning a living and supporting herself. And guess what? There was a Chabad house. And she went there, and the rest of the story is history. Now, did the Rebbe make that happen? What did the Rebbe say? All he asked was, what airline is he taking on Wednesday? Is he leaving on Wednesday? Which airline is he using? He's going to lose a day. He's been Shabbos in Melbourne and go to Sydney on Sunday. And the Rebbe and the employer of the girl in this remote town, north coast, seaside coast of Australia, sits down beside him on the plane. How does the Rebbe do these things? How did he bring the tourists from Montreal to Nativot just when this guy was there? And everything is set up, and now there's a whole college in the city. And how did he arrange that he should fulfill his mission? And if this girl would come and say, "Thank you, Rebbe," the Rebbe would say, "Don't thank me, thank Hashem." I'll tell you one more story along these lines, then I'm going to have to say good Shabbos because it's late. All right. But there was a Russian family in like 1991 when communism fell apart and Jews could begin to get papers to leave Russia. And a family made it here, was living in Brooklyn. And they came to ask a bracha from the Rebbe that their members of their family still in Russia should be able to leave, come to America. The Rebbe gave a bracha. Nothing happened. So they came back with complaints. And the Rebbe said, "What's doing with the rest of the family?" The Rebbe said, "Look, here is Moscow. Here is New York." The Rebbe went like this, "And they are here." You see that? Here's Moscow, here's New York, and he made like this. They are here in the middle. And sure enough, they arrived. So he came back the next Sunday by the dollar line to receive a bracha from the Rebbe and to say thank you. He's come to the Rebbe, he tells the Rebbe the good news that the family arrived, and he came to thank the Rebbe. And the Rebbe said exactly the words I just told you. "Don't thank me, thank Hashem." And this Russian guy, he didn't know any chachmas, like they say. "Nit Hashem," he said. "Rebbe." He says, "Don't tell me to thank Hashem, I'm thanking you." So that's the idea, what I tried to communicate with you, that they work together. The tzaddik says, and Hashem fulfills. Okay. So a person should not consider himself wicked, he should consider himself a Beinani, and that the evil has not been eradicated, has been taken care of. It's in its full strength, native strength in the left side of his heart. It didn't go away, and it didn't diminish in its strength. But from eating and drinking and other mundane pursuits, watching television, going to movies, or football games, it got stronger with time. Page 198. This is where we stopped yesterday. Even if a person, his desire, his main desire is only to learn Torah. Wow. And he's learning Torah day and night. You might think, well, if he's like a Russia, maybe he's learning because he wants a good job. Maybe he's learning because he wants a shidduch. Maybe he's learning because he wants the respect that people would give him because he's a Torah scholar. Maybe he wants to be honored at the dinner and he'll give a speech in front of everybody. That's not called learning the right way. That's learning for selfish motives. No, not this guy. This guy learns Torah, loves Torah, knows the Torah is 100% true, and he learns it lishma. He learns it because it's Hashem's Torah. That's all. For the proper motives. Ein zu haichacha. This is not a proof. Klal shenidcha hara mimakayimai. This does not, even this is not an indication that the Yetzer Hara has been overcome. Ella, however, yacholies, it could be shemahusei v'atzmusei hu betokfei. The essence of the evil in the left side of the heart is just as strong as ever, but makoymei b'chol hasmoli, on the left side of the heart. Rak shalavushav, and here's a very important distinction. There's a difference between the essence of the Yetzer and its garments. We spoke a lot about garments until now. The garments of a person are his thought, his activities, the way he behaves, the way he speaks, and the way he thinks. The way you behave, you can control. The way you speak, you can control. The things that you think about, you can control. What pops into your head, you cannot control. That's where the struggle takes place. But these three garments are subject to your control. And here you can have a say as to what's going to happen. So the essence of what the animal soul is, you can't touch it. It's very, very hard. Not only it's hard, you can work on it for a lifetime and not succeed. And it's not your fault. It's not up to you. It's up to Hashem. He gave you the Yetzer Hara. He continues to give it to you, just like he gives you your life every day. He continually gives life to your Yetzer Hara every day. To conquer your Yetzer Hara, well, like David HaMelech, he did it with self-discipline. He says he conquered Yetzer Hara with fasting and with devotion. His devotion, these are what the Psalms are all about. The Psalms are David HaMelech's confession of his devotion to God. They're amazing. But to conquer Yetzer Hara, to vanquish it, that's a gift. It's a gift from Hashem, a gift from on high. It's not up to you. You can't order it. Perhaps, he says, the essence and substance of evil are in their full strength and might, and it's in their abode on the left side of the heart, except that the garments of the soul, which are the thought, speech, and action of the animal soul, are not invested in the brain. That is, they're not they don't find their place in the brain of the person, in his speech, they do not control what he thinks, what he says, and what he does with his hands and other parts of the body, because Hashem Shanasan Shlita, because Hashem has given power and control and sovereignty. L'moyach al halev, he has given power in your brain to control your heart. V'lochein nefesh elokis shebemoyach, therefore the godly soul, which finds its natural place in your brain, moisheles be'ir katana, it rules over the small city, which is the heart and the limbs of the body. Kulam shiyu levush umerkava, that they should be a garment for the godly soul. That is in the control of a person's mind. That despite all the suggestions from the Yetzer Hara, he doesn't have to think what the Yetzer Hara wants him to think. He doesn't have to say or do what the Yetzer Hara wants him to say or to do. That is the area of our challenge, and that's the area of our achievement. That's where we really achieve something significant. Chaim. And one Shabbos. Shabbos. Thank you.